Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Alex Salvo. I am the Business Development Director here at Lane Gorman Truitt. Whether you're familiar with us or this is your first time, we're really glad you're here. If you're new to LGT, we're a Texas-based full-service accounting firm that works closely with closely held businesses of all shapes and sizes. We cover everything from audit, tax, to accounting consulting, focused on building close collaborative relationships with business owners to help grow their business ultimately. So now today's topic is one that I know a lot of you have questions about. So I'm really excited to introduce our speaker, who's going to walk us through a practical roadmap for companies, business owners to start implementing AI. So this is Prez Matecki, and this is he's the founder and CEO of Assist with AI, an AI consultancy based in Plano, to help small business owners and operators move from ad hoc AI use to governed productive deployment before founding leadership. Before founding with AI. Prez spent 12 years at Credit Suisse and UBS in quantitative risk, AI delivery, and project leadership. He's CFA charter holder and PMP certified project manager, and his current work spans across North America and Europe. So welcome, Prez.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you for introduction.
Absolutely. So one thing that really stood out to me about your experience, you built AI for Wall Street trading desks for 12 years, which is wild to think of because when I think of AI, I'm like, oh, that must have been 2-3 years ago, but no.
Let me maybe clarify it right away. Of course, like AI was introduced just a few years ago. I think it was 2020 or 21 when ChatGPT was released. But before that, as anyone who was in the data space or automation space or digital transformation, everyone who was before that in the industry, let's say, knows that before AI, there was machine learning, data lakes. So I would say I was working on this concepts that led to, because actually like every large language model under the hood is a neural network. So this concept of neural networks were designed earlier. There were some also alternative machine learning concepts, but obviously AI evolved into like now primary way of, let's say, automating and digital transformation. So, but yeah, you can say in a nutshell that yes, I've been in the industry, let's say 12 years.
Long time. Okay, and in the mid-sized market space for businesses, right?
Yes. So I was working for Credit Suisse and then UBS till start of 2025. But I relocated from New York in 2023, still working for UBS. And when I relocated here to Plano, I started thinking about actually delivering a similar level of, let's say, enterprise grade solution, but for smaller companies. So even while working at UBS, I started first consulting with middle market companies. And then in 2025, when let's say my business started growing, I decided to devote my full time into it. And this is how at the beginning of 2025, Assist with AI, my company was created.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great. And I think back to when we first started, when I first met you, you made a really interesting point, and that was that AI can maybe add resale value to a company, and that's something that PE companies are actually like combing through when they're looking to acquire a business. They're looking at what's going on with AI within that business. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so obviously during due diligence process on both sides, when private equity companies are buying companies and then when they are selling companies, this topic of AI emerges. And it's, a few years back, it was mainly about just some AI tools. Maybe if you provided training for your company and for your employees and so on. But now it's becoming, if you're using AI in systematic way, and if you are aware of all the risks involved in using AI in systematic way for business processes. So it basically evolved, and yes, both seller side is paying more attention to it, just to on one hand increase the sale value, because if you have a really working AI system that is supporting your processes, business processes, this is a huge value. Because most of the companies, as you will learn throughout this presentation, are still not at this stage, and so this is like building value to the company and by this increasing sale value. But the other thing is this risk component. So if you don't have like any AI policy yet, any kind of guardrails around using AI in your company, the reality is that most likely your employees are already using AI. I would say now 80-90% of people are using AI. But I mean, by using AI, I mean just chatting with the AI. But they use their private chats, large language models. And obviously, as probably many of you know, like if you enter sensitive data to these free chats, it is almost like posting it publicly on the forums, right? At some point, someone can actually get access to this information just through asking the right questions. So that's why when actually this is like complete first step you should do, like create some kind of policy and get your employees paid license with no let's say no approval to share this data for model training. Because if you don't do that, for example, and you're trying to sell a company, private equity company that wants to buy your company, or maybe if the private equity is doing like IPO and so on, during the diligence process, they will ask you like, at what point have you implemented this kind of measures to avoid situation when your sensitive data is passed to this open free models, right? And if your answer is like, we don't have it yet, they will immediately know that actually shadow AI, because this is like a term that is currently being used. Shadow AI means basically your employees are using free versions of ChatGPT on their personal account just to speed up their work, and very often they pass confidential information. So this buyer will be aware that if you don't have like any guardrails, any policy around the usage of free accounts, then most likely some of your sensitive data is already being used to train the models. So it's publicly exposed. And this is like, so it's not an argument for boosting the value of the company throughout the sales process, but avoiding the risk of decreasing sales value just because you introduce this risk.
Right. No, that totally, and those are things like, as you're using it, I don't think about, but luckily, at LGT, we do have a policy, which is great.
Okay, very good.
So, okay, so this is what I know you've got a lot to teach us. So what I will kind of let you run through it. And then I know, just so you guys know, he actually prepared a demo for us on how to use, to take advantage of using projects in Claude. So that'll be a nice, I know I'm excited. I'm very excited about that. So I'll let you take it away from here, Prez.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I hope you can see my screen. So yes. Let me go ahead, the agenda. I can see that there is some slight delay, but it's fine. The agenda, so I prepared two cases for today's presentation, and these are real life cases. Actually, like our engagement with these clients is still ongoing, and we are still under NDA. So we have to modify some of the information that are included in these cases. But what's important here is actually not the details about these cases, but more like a journey that these two companies went through when adopting AI. So first I'll introduce these two companies. Then we divided this whole AI adoption process for companies into 4 stages. And just to clarify, Alex, you mentioned that we focus on small businesses. I would say we rather focus on like middle market or lower middle market companies, just because for smaller companies, the solutions that we are offering could be slightly more expensive, and I mean, probably too expensive. Probably ROI will not justify investment in these solutions. So we primarily focus on companies that have like 3 million in EBITDA and above, and let's say 10 million in revenue. So this is where really our, okay, so I would say our sweet spot is like between this 3 million EBITDA to 10 million EBITDA, and in terms of revenue, probably like 10 million revenue to like 30 million revenue. It doesn't mean that we cannot serve like smaller companies or bigger companies, and actually our biggest clients are way bigger than 30 million revenue. So, but for them, the solutions are completely different, and there are way more custom approach. In this presentation, I just want to focus on this, let's say, 2 tiers. One company will be below 30, between 10 to 30 million revenue. The other company is in this range between 30 million revenue to 100 million revenue.
Okay.
So yeah, all right. And but both companies went through these 4 stages. So I think this will help you like visualize how this process works for both, let's say, sizes of companies. And yeah, of course, in the third part of my presentation, I'll talk in detail about every stage we took them through. And then I have some like freebies. Everyone likes freebies. So we prepared some materials that we can share with you, which will help you start, if you haven't started the conversation at your companies, will help to start it. Or for example, if you don't have AI policy yet, we prepared to you some templates that you can easily use once you get the, let's say, paid license for ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever other LLM. You can use the materials that I give you as almost like a reference point that you can share with these large language models, and they will help you craft it for your specific purposes. All right. So these 2 cases that I want to take you through. First one is Frank. The other one is Maria. Frank is running a residential Windows company based here in Dallas-Fort Worth. The revenue is $22 million. They have 38 employees, family owned, 14 years, no plan to exit as of now. And when they contacted us, Frank is very often we see like 2 types of people, let's say business owners, business operators who are approaching us. One type is like very over optimistic about what AI can do, and the other type is like super skeptical. Our favorites are in the middle, who are like not over excited about AI, but understand like the value it can bring. But on purpose, I selected these 2 cases because it's almost like to show you the contrast. Okay, so Frank contacted us asking like, okay, he watched some YouTube videos, and he was hearing a lot about OpenClaw, agentic solutions that actually now you can just let agent run and you know, do all the work that your people used to do, right? And we told him like, well, in theory it's possible, but even big players as of now, and literally just last week I was talking with my friends from JP Morgan and Bank of America, they are putting on hold or still keeping it in experimental mode using AI agents. And let me maybe pause here briefly and explain what do I mean, and this will be repeating throughout this presentation. If I say like AI agent in this presentation, what I mean is like agents that are independently taking decisions. So for example, you have like business process that is non-linear, right? There could be like some decisions along the way, which makes the whole process more like a decision tree, not a linear, I don't know, process. So when I talk about AI agents, I mean like this kind of AI that is set up to make some decisions independently along the way, and the only step that human is doing, and in most advanced agentic form, probably there won't be even a human, but we are very far from it, believe me. The only step that a person is doing is reviewing the output, right? So it's So once again, AI agent is when it makes decisions based on these decisions, activates different tools and use these tools independently, and then like whatever this agent can do to come up with the best possible solution to given problem, or best possible outcome to given process run, right? So again, even enterprise and if you don't believe me that this is really happening, just type into AI or Google it, AI agents rollbacks, and you will see information that it was, I think, like some recent poll or something like that, that 77% of AI agents that were in the project phase, prototype phase, were actually rolled back across enterprise level players, just because they introduced there are multiple problems related to AI agents. And if you're interested in this specific topic, AI agents, I hope we'll have time at the end. I can tell you way more why AI agents at this point are still like a more experimental technology than business ready technology. All right. I talk a lot. I apologize. I hope you guys like it. So yeah, but let me keep going. So Frank wanted to have like AI agents because he watched some YouTube videos, right? On the other hand, we have Maria, who was actually skeptical, just because her company, Commercial Printing, they have 95 million revenue, about 170 employees, headquartered in Dallas. They have production facility near Austin, and they have 3 satellite offices in Texas, Louisiana, and in Oklahoma. And they were recently, fairly recently, bought by a private equity company. And while they already have some software that has like agentic capabilities, prominently Salesforce. Actually, they were disappointed, like as if you were using Salesforce, you know that it was a bumpy road, let's say, when they started to introduce AI agents, and there were a lot of problems due to that. So basically, Maria and her company get, after trying Salesforce and AI agents and a few other tools specific to printing industry, they were disappointing because they were getting generic responses, and basically they went back to doing things old-fashioned way. So she had the pressure from private equity to actually do something about it. Create some kind of coherent, consistent AI strategy, and actually return to using AI. So she came to us more like she's skeptical and almost like challenging us to convince her that it even makes sense, because if not, that she will just push back to the private equity that at this point it doesn't make sense. So okay, before I continue these 2 stories, let me again very quickly pause here. And let's now look at these 4 stages that we take companies through when implementing AI. So the first stage is where 60 or 70% of companies are currently at. So these are companies where this shadow AI problem, so employees using AI, just using their free accounts and so on, personal accounts, and pass confidential data. This is like very common. They very often do not have like any AI policy, because even if you have paid license, your employees needs to understand, because again, not every data should be given to AI, even if you're using a paid plan. Very often these companies have problems like on a, let's say, how to say it, operational level. Processes are not optimized, and quite often these companies tested some third-party off-the-shelf AI solutions, and what we heard from Maria is common thing that well, yes, these tools have AI, but it's giving them, let's say, disappointing results, right? So they while they are paying for the license, it doesn't deliver what it was promised to deliver. Then during this slides dedicated to particular stages, I'll speak like how we help companies on every stage. For now, I just want for you to understand like what is the difference, what is the difference between stages, and how, let's say, companies progress to given stages, like what's in given stage, right? So in the stage number one, companies already have some AI policies. They are using paid licenses, and they start to explore more advanced features. So not only features of this AI solution. So not only pure chatting with ChatGPT, let's say, but utilizing additional features that these AI providers build. And as Alex mentioned, I'll also do the demo of one of the features that is available in ChatGPT. So even after this webinar, you will be able to use it on your own. It's included by default in any paid plan of ChatGPT. Yeah, so this is where companies start to, let's say, configure AI third-party solutions, right? Then once companies realize that actually AI can do more, or maybe with help of companies like mine, they understand that okay, you can have like multiple AI tools, but you have also some legacy systems, you have some databases, you have different data intake ways, right? And to make it all work in a systematic way, you need to have some kind of pipeline, some glue between these different pieces of your infrastructure. And this is actually like most of our work currently. We are not trying to, I know, create AI solutions that are available through third-party vendors and so on. We are, I mean, in some cases, yes, we help to configure. If client asks us to help us to configure third-party tool, like for example HubSpot, then it's fine. We can help with that. But our, let's say, specialty is actually connecting different pieces of your infrastructure, different AI tools, and making it work in a systematic way. But still, at this stage, at stage 2, it's like with a lot of human in the loop. Human in the loop is like a primary approach. If you don't know what is human in the loop, basically it means that if you have like business process that have, okay, let's say 5 steps. First 2 steps, let's say, are hard coded, are using like old, I mean, or like traditional technology automation without any AI. Then like, let's say in third step, you have some large language model that does some work in this process, but only more like, I don't know, maybe query for some information online, or basically gather some additional inputs, or maybe revise what was generated, what was produced in these first 2 steps, right? So more like ranking, categorizing, providing opinion, providing some context, background. And then there is a human that looks at the output. And maybe there is like one, because I said like 5 steps, right? So human is step number 4, and maybe step number 5 is actually human, that is after human revision, some output is generated to step number 5. So think about, for example, reporting, right? After all the steps were passed, there was some data enrichment through AI, and then human like take a comprehensive look at what is happening, what was the output, and then pass it to, I mean, produce the final, let's say, report and send it to senior managers, something like that. So this is the second stage. And the third and final stage, this is where agentic AI comes into picture. And this is where, as I said earlier, this is where, okay, even if we build this AI in a systematic way, like flows between different pieces of your infrastructure, well, in some cases, maybe it's possible even to eliminate a human in the loop, or reduce human involvement, and actually to AI to take decision what should be the next step. Because yeah, I explained it to you on a like linear process, but again, obviously, as you know, in businesses, processes very often are non-linear, and there are more like decision trees. So again, in this third stage, we are evaluating if agent could be driving, if we set up proper guardrails, proper instructions, proper security measures, and so on, and some techniques to avoid hallucination of AI agents. Then we evaluate if it makes sense to actually AI to make decisions in this process. All right. Whew, I know that this was a lot.
Well, we actually had a question that came in that what amount of time do you put into helping clients with their underlying data foundations before moving forward with an engagement? And I assume it would mean an AI engagement.
Oh yeah. So again, it's obviously heavily depends on the size and the state of the company, right? If the data is let's say complete mess, I don't want to use this word, but you know what I mean. Like if there is like it all depends like what's the situations at the clients. We assume that we we do our work in like phases, right? We do some preliminary checks. Actually, you know what? Let me very quickly open the next slide, because this kind of relates to my answer,
Okay,
right?
great.
So the way we approach companies, we look at the business problem first, then we optimize without technology. Then we try to use non-AI technology, so any kind of simple automations, let's say. And only then, if a situation permits and the ROI justifies it, only then we implement AI, right? So to answer this question is like if our preliminary business problem identification and analysis shows that actually the problem sits in the data, we spend as much time as it's needed to clean up this data. And obviously we work in agile fashion, right? So it doesn't mean like we clean up like all your data, because sometimes this will be like complete overkill. We try to identify cases where, you know, it's more almost like an art to find the right cases where we spend, for example, let's say 10-20 hours on data cleaning. We try to optimize processes around the data, because maybe it's not only about the data that you already have, but how you intake the data into your systems. Maybe it's better to fix that. So we almost like divide it into sub projects, and then decide like which, again, it's especially with private equity companies, it's all about like ultimately EBITDA and if it drives the value, right? So we always try to calculate ROI, assess how much time, how expensive it would be to clean up the data, to prepare the company, to optimize the processes, and then we go through, let's say, these stages that I described below. So I know this was like complex answer, and but
well, maybe it'll come full circle once we walk through we finish up the case studies. Then maybe we can circle back. But that works.
Okay, all right. So coming back to Frank's case, so I don't know if you don't have like experience in the window business, you can probably imagine how it works, right? Someone calls or writes an email or contact them on their website through their web form. And then a guy from this window company comes, takes measurements, talks with you about what kind of windows would you like to have, how many windows do you have, and so basically create some kind of potential job. Then he goes back to his office and try to make some pricing estimates. And I know that some of you who are familiar with this business will tell that, okay, but we already know that there are some representatives that come into your house and right away give you estimates, right? But this is for like a more lower tier, let's say, window installers. They are usually with just one company, and they offer like one company, one manufacturer windows. But in this case, we are talking about the company that specializes in like they have partnerships like with 10 companies producing windows in the US, another like 10 companies in Europe, and they offer not only like vinyl windows but also aluminum and the steel windows. So it's slightly more complex, and these estimations cannot be done like at your home, right? Okay. Okay, so this person who took the measurements of your windows goes back to the office and prepare the pricing, checks the catalog, what kind of windows are available, contact window manufacturers if these windows are when they will be available, because especially when it comes to like higher premium windows like aluminum and steel, actually the delivery times are very long, it goes to like multiple months. Only like vinyl windows, you can get them like in 2 months or something. But anyways, so they need to check all of this and then create a proposal to the client, right? And in Frank's case, especially during pandemic times, you know, everyone was renovating their houses and so on. So they suddenly grew a lot. And many companies like went down to their pre-pandemic numbers, Windows installers. But actually, these guys, just because of their positioning, premium Windows and so on, they they kept expanding even after pandemic, even till this year. But the problem is, and this is common for many lower middle market companies, that their systems didn't evolve, their process didn't evolve like together with their growth. So now Frank, like I mean, before we started helping him, he had a problem like because he didn't have like enough estimators, like and obviously in this business, like the faster you prepare proposal, the higher the chances that you actually land the job. So he had like complete, let's say, chaos, and he was losing control over operations, right? So he wanted to have these AA agents, but we said like actually no, let's first talk about your pain points, right? And we obviously identified the 2 pain points at this stage, at stage 0. Usually this is not about like some magic that we are making with AI. This is more about like sitting with management, talking with your team, identifying pain points, and doing like preliminary analysis. What is actually causing the problem? If it's like not optimized processes, is it data quality? Or maybe you have some tools that could be used already. Maybe you're already paying for some license, and only then we think about AI solutions. So in Frank's case, it was when it comes to like this manual typing of requirements and so on provided by the client. Actually, it turned out that the project management software had this module that could be enabled, and the guys who are going to the clients, to their homes, they take measurements. They could insert these measurements in their phones, and then just because this project management software also has like cloud support, this information was in the cloud, and they didn't have to like manually retype it and so on. And the other thing was when it comes to the pricing. So because they are working with multiple vendors, multiple manufacturers, we just discovered that many of these manufacturers have like API exposed. So you can actually, without using any AI, you can just fetch the data from servers of these window producers, and then like with just these 2 things, we had all in digital form, all like within Frank's office, right? So this was like preliminary work. In case of Maria, and I know that we need to speed it up, so I'll speed it up. In Maria's case, commercial printing. So again, she has like a few different offices, satellite offices. It turned out that they are using different process to prepare estimates for these printing jobs. So we helped them unified, and really like 70% of work was done by the employees of these companies. We are the ones who are just doing the review, and obviously, I mean, we can help with all the steps, right? But the thing is that we always want to leverage companies' own resources as much as possible, right? Just not to overcharge companies, our client companies, for things that actually their own crew can do, right? So we are more like at this stage, we are more like a coordinator, maybe taking a fresh look at the processes of companies and so on. So yeah, we unified, for Maria's case, we unified this process, eliminated redundant steps, and we then had like clear estimation path. Then when it comes to like data, it turned out that yes, they use Salesforce, and part of the reason why their AI wasn't working was that Maria wasn't even fully aware that there is like a shadow Excels being used. So very often their sales representatives know that they should be using Salesforce, but in reality they knew that the data in the Salesforce is already a mess, so they started like running their own shadow Excels with all information about the clients and so on. So and then again, this is something that we often do to when we start working with clients, we say like, okay, this is like a cornerstone. We cannot go further if you have like if you don't have like proper governance around your data, proper systems around your data. So we have to eliminate all the shadow Excels if we want to actually take your operations to the next level. So yeah, we did that. Obviously, again, with help of Maria's own crew, and we and we activated their existing print MIS module. So similar as in Frank's case, sometimes it's just tech review, whatever tech you're using. Maybe there are some functionalities that actually can solve your problem. And the reason why the companies do not solve these problems themselves is very often people are just too busy to, I don't know, learn about new features in technology, and they just don't have time to like study it. So this is where we help. All right. All right, now stage one. Okay, so we have, let's say in Frank's case, we have policy. He bought some licenses for ChatGPT, because now when we have everything in digital form, this is a good moment where we start introducing AI into this. So let me now switch to the demo, and exactly on Frank's case, obviously this is like a simplified example, but I'll show you how you can take information from your company and load it to ChatGPT to stop basically asking ChatGPT every time the same questions, or stop like starting new chats every time when you want to achieve it. This will help you query ChatGPT, but in more systematic way. And you will get the better results of the answers. All right, so let me now switch to. Okay, I wonder. Okay, yeah, I think it works. All right, so this is ChatGPT, right? Of course, when you log in, and we use this account just for demo purposes. So this is like a basic paid plan, Go plan of ChatGPT. Okay, if you want to create a new project, and the new project is almost like a dedicated space in
Prez, sorry,
Yes.
is it possible for you to zoom in a little bit?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, there we go. That's good.
Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe. So once you have your let's say documents and the data, you can actually almost like permanently fetch it to ChatGPT. So it becomes like ChatGPT, but with your knowledge specific to your company. And the way to do it is you open new project. Let's say window pricing. Let's call it window pricing. Okay, and it shows up here, and then you have. Okay, just let me open on the side. Okay, first thing is sources. So let's go back for a moment to Frank's case. I mean, this will be about Frank's case. Let's say he has this now pricing, complete pricing of all his manufacturers. Like in one PDF. Obviously, this was more complex. There were multiple PDFs, but let's say everything now is in one pricing PDF, and then he also has like separate product catalog with description of the windows that he's offering, right? So we upload these two documents in the sources of this ChatGPT project, and every time you start speaking with ChatGPT, you can basically write a prompt that will force ChatGPT to activate these sources, right? So you don't have to, because you probably heard about like prompt engineering and so on, but writing this complex prompt every time, even if you have like library of prompts, this is like complete waste of time, right? So it's better to like fetch, let's say, ChatGPT with all the knowledge that you can fetch to it, all what like your company permits or serves particular purpose at your company, and then you can just write much shorter prompts that just force ChatGPT to activate these sources. So this is when you have documents, but obviously you can also, to avoid writing too many prompts or too extensive prompts, any repetitive things that you would like ChatGPT to understand. You have, I don't know if you saw where I clicked, but 3 dots here, project settings, and you have instructions here. And I have some pre-written instructions for this case. So let me very just quickly open it. All right, cool. All right, so okay. So in this instruction, I'm just instructing ChatGPT what rules should it follow, or maybe when reading these documents that I gave it, that it should also include when, for example, preparing ultimate proposal to the client, it should also include some additional charges that needs to be applied, right? And actually, we are using Claude instead of ChatGPT in our own company, but the project instructions that we have usually have about 40 to 60 pages long. So this is obviously like ultra simplified. But once you once you get good at it, you understand that this is like extremely powerful, and you can put a lot of instructions just within this instruction for a particular project, and you will get like, I don't know, much better results if you instruct ChatGPT upfront, because the way it works is ChatGPT loads this instruction like behind the scenes into its memory before it answers you, right? So okay, we have this project instruction. Let's save it, and then and then I have some sample prompt. So if you do it this way that I just showed you, load appropriate sources, put appropriate instructions, you're every time you start a new chat, you don't have to like explain all the context or all the information. You just write a simple like few sentences prompt, and just because you upfront uploaded all these instructions, ChatGPT will completely understand your situation, what you're aiming for. It will activate appropriate sources. And if you hit run, it will read the sources and provide you the answer. And okay, let's not spend time on like reading it in detail. Just I just wanted to show you like where to click, just because you can do exactly the same thing when you come back to the office. I know after this webinar, right? And you can use it for like drafting documents and preparing personalized proposals to clients and so on. So if you configure this right, and you can do it on your own, you don't need help of companies like mine. If you configure it right, it will be already very powerful for your business. All right. Okay, so let me jump back to the presentation. And I know that we have only 16 minutes left.
And a quick question for you. We had gotten a question. How is this different? How is ChatGPT's version different than Claude versus like a Copilot in creating projects?
Oh, okay. So this is also a big topic. So I would say in Copilot, sorry. Okay. You said
Claude.
Copilot or Claude
Well,
Co-work?
Either GPT, Claude, or Copilot. Maybe Copilot doesn't contend in this situation.
Yeah. Okay. So Copilot is, I would say, slightly weaker. And okay, let me just focus, just for the sake of time, on ChatGPT versus Claude. So there are some pros and cons of using Claude. So for example, Claude is slightly more expensive for like businesses, just because you need to buy 5 seats at minimum. With ChatGPT, you can buy 2. And the plans start like with $20 per seat, but for smaller businesses, this is a difference, right? And then Claude is more capable when it comes to coding. Obviously, you've heard about Claude Code, but for example, it's lacking image generation or video generation, right? So you don't have these features. What else? In ChatGPT, what I like, there is additional functionality that Claude doesn't have, but at least not in the same form. I think I'm just saying like in this aspect, ChatGPT is better. It has this feature called Canvas, where you can like on the fly design documents, and you don't have to like, when working on a document, you don't have to, for example, you want to change something in the document. So in Claude, you have like 2 options. Just give it a prompt, or download this document. I don't know, maybe make this edit yourself, like some preliminary, or maybe instruct it like in which particular parts of this document Claude should make changes, right? But you cannot really like live open document and make some edits and just continue working without any uploads and so on. ChatGPT Canvas can do that. So this is pretty amazing. What else?
No, that was perfect. That was very helpful to understand the two.
Okay, and obviously you can ask AI and it will tell you about the differences. All right. Okay, going back to Maria's case. First steps are pretty similar, maybe to these larger companies. We are also focusing on easy of access. So we set up a single sign-on just to make it easier to operate for your and more secure for your employees. But then for this above $30 million companies, we introduce concept of AI champions, right? Because as I said, we first start talking with companies about their pain points and so on. With smaller companies, this is enough. But with bigger companies, very often managers, CEOs and basically executives do not have full picture of what is actually happening on the ground level, let's say. So that's why we have this AI champion program where we just ask first senior executives to nominate AI champions, and these are not the guys who are super tech savvy and into AI. These are guys who understand profoundly the processes within your company and the problems within your company, and then we take them through some basic trainings. Usually we just do 3 sessions with these AI champions just for them to almost inspire them what AI can do, where AI could make sense, and they come back to us with some ideas. After they think about it, they come back to us with some ideas where AI could potentially solve their problems, right? And this way, and this is what happened in Maria's case. Actually, the guy who was running production operations in Austin, he came back with 2 good ideas, and again, he just comes to us with some proposals. So what could be done? And we think if AI makes sense in this case, what AI solutions would make sense, and we take responsible for, let's say, calculating ROI for this project. Okay, and you can see some numbers just again, this is almost like an estimate, just how to say it, just to show you what usually our involvement to this stage, up to this stage, costs for clients of this size, of this type. All right, finally, stage 2. So this is where for Frank actually, because chatting with ChatGPT and this project is fine, but you still need to chat with them, right? Wouldn't it be better if you make it like a process where there are some triggers? So once this trigger is activated, some steps that are just automated with just regular technology are performed, and then AI is activated, and in, let's say, linear process, human in the loop just looks at the results. So this is what happened in Frank's case. We just this whole process of going to the client, taking measurements, we just because it was a very simple workflow, we just build this workflow. AI agents build this proposal based on sources, just as I show you in projects. But the difference is the proposal is the process to create this whole proposal for the client is automatically initiated when measurements are taken. So it sped up this whole process of estimation and pricing from 3 hours to 5 minutes. So this was a really huge win, and this wasn't expensive. Such let's say linear processes we can automate for as in this case $9,000. In Maria's case, it was it was slightly more advanced. I don't want to go into the details because we are running out of time, but separate workflow for estimations, separate workflow for scheduling these printing jobs. And then in Maria's case, just because of the volume of orders that they are getting and let's say value in this whole process, we're currently talking with her if these 2 processes could be actually completely integrated using AI agents, so that AI agents on the way takes decisions just to make sure that whatever is in the price, in the estimate, is in line what is then passed into production, right? But yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, so this is actually the end of what I wanted to present. And now just a quick heads up in the, I mean, maybe not a quick heads up, but takeaways from you. Just in this portal, to this session portal to which you will have access, you will find this document, 7 questions for self-assessment. This will help you decide for your company at which stage you are, and maybe help you think like what kind of questions you should be asking when talking with your managers, when discussing topic of AI. What is important when on this AI journey, let's say. Obviously, if you don't have like paid licenses with AI, buy it right away. I don't know, no matter if it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, just buy the license. And we also, like in these materials that you will have in the session portal, we provided some high-level guideline, like what is the difference between these different large language models, between these business licenses. So of course, like you can just use it as a point of reference, upload it to your large language model, ask some additional questions to maybe describe your business situation, and maybe AI will advise you honestly, as much as AI can honestly advise you what is the best license for your business. And of course, as I said, like right away, we are also giving away you like template. This is just a template of AI policy. Take it, again, upload it to AI, customize it, and really
send it to your attorney. And then send it to the attorney.
Yes, send this to the attorney. Yes, correct. But make sure that your employees are actually following these policies, because this is really, really important. And you will see there will be more and more cases where sensitive data leaked into freely available public models. All right, and if you're like a size of Maria's company, over 30 million, well, have an honest discussion with your IT team, if you have one. If you have like a IT provider, also just discuss it with them. Maybe show them this deck, show them our approach. Also, like among your materials, I'm giving away like a 1-pager that will, on a high level, just summarize these four stages of AI adoption that I went through today, and just discuss it with your IT team. Maybe they agree, maybe they don't disagree. If you see the value of us helping you, just let us know. We were always available. We can schedule like a 30-minute session with you, with your IT team, and try to think at least about some high-level roadmap for AI adoption for your company. It doesn't have to be like 3 stages that I just described.
And these are great handouts. We were looking through them earlier. This is just honest. It's the easiest thing you can see to check exactly where you are. And it's a lot of the resources that he discussed, just to even just start the conversation of how do we move forward with it. So and then real quick, Prez, there was one other question. If my company is not willing to invest in AI anytime soon, should I look for another job?
That's a good question. I would say try to convince them. Try to become like a AI champion. Be proactive. Do something on your own. It doesn't have to be like, I mean, obviously you won't buy a like AA license for your company, right? But maybe explore what kind of tools do you have at your company. As I said, many times we see that company already bought some licenses, but nobody can properly utilize them. Maybe be this person who can properly utilize them. Not if they're like completely against it, then maybe it's time to change.
Maybe you had to cut your losses. Okay, well, good. And then real quick, I want to make sure if you guys have any other questions, please send them to the chat, and we'll answer them with the remaining time we have. But I also wanted to let everybody know that in July we have a cybersecurity around AI webinar that we'll be doing. as well. So just stay tuned for that. If this is something that you're kind of in that 0 to 1 range, that would be a great one for you guys to listen in on as well. Okay.
Maybe just one more thing regarding the materials, because we didn't put like all the materials that we can hand over to you, because these materials that are in the session portal are like pretty much let's say generic, right? Everyone can use them. But if you're specifically interested in like exactly these 4 stages to like do deeper dive, even deeper than we discussed today, let me know. I can send you like slightly more detailed description what we actually do, what are the steps in every stage of like how we look at the processes and so on. And the other thing is if you're working with companies that are preparing to exit, we also have some materials like even like simple questions that you may be expecting if you're not experiencing them now. In the near future, you will start hearing them from the buyers. So we can email you some materials that just to be aware what kind of questions are coming from the buyers in the near future. And finally, we try to be as nice to everyone as possible. So that's why we are organizing every Thursday office hours. And this is also the invite to these office hours you have in the session materials. So you have a link to Google Meets there, and it's open to everyone. Like every Thursday at 1 p.m. we have like 1 hour, which is dedicated to basically anyone who wants to talk with us about AI. You can be like executive, you can be just a employee, and so on. And we can just share our knowledge with you, for free. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. Well, I think that was perfectly timed. And so I want to thank you so much, Prez, for that. That was great. And if you did a great walking through all the materials. So if nobody else has any questions, again, thank you so much. Definitely book some time with him. And I guess we'll probably see you around here soon, because we're probably going to be doing this again, because this is always a topic that keeps coming up. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. I think the era of hype around AI is almost over, and now it's back to like what really works for business, and this is what we focus on. What really drives EBITDA, and I think this will be repeating for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere at all. And just to reiterate, I see some questions coming through. You guys can, there's a link in the resource section of the portal where you can book some time for office hours. Oh yeah, and they will also be sent to you in a follow-up email. So great. Okay, perfect. Well, Prez, thank you guys so much, everybody. We appreciate you guys jumping on, and awesome. Thanks, Prez. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, and yeah, talk to you soon. Bye.
Talk soon.